In an industry stuffed with marketing bullshit, empty promises, and shiny-suited liars, one woman's had enough. She knows what it's like to have the wrong clients, no money, and no time for fun. But she also knows how to fix it. And on the Business for Superheroes show, she promises to tell the down and dirty truth about business, sales, and running away with the circus. Here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the Business for Superheroes show. I'm Vicky Fraser, and this week Joe's not here, but we're doing the podcast together anyway because hurrah, through the magic of technology.
Hello.
Hello. So Joe's in the frozen north.
I have no idea where I am.
And I am at the Dingle. Yeah, and it's raining at the Dingle, and it's also raining inside the Dingle, which is exciting.
I am, however, in the cheapest hotel in the world as selected by my subcontractor.
Don't let them do that.
It's not raining, but it is quite cheap.
It looks nasty.
It's not sexy, I tell you. Not sexy. No.
For listeners who obviously can't see us, we are doing this podcast via Zoom, which is like Skype but better. And I'm drinking a glass of wine because it's practically February.
I, however, have been out for dinner with electrical contractors, which means I have had several pints of beer, and I'm now drinking water.
Oh, that's very good. Well, I have just tonight's been one of those nights where I've realised that I just utterly fail at being an adult because you've been away, and so I've been on my own, and I've also been really busy. And so I had super noodles and a giant slice of Yule log for my tea.
Super noodles and Yule log. Yule log, that kind of implies that it was bought at Christmas.
Yes. Yes. My mum sent it.
It's the end of January now.
Yeah, Mum sent it back with me. She assures me that it's been in the freezer. So we'll if I survive the night, then it's probably fine.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Anyway, so let's move on to what we're talking about.
What are we talking about?
So today we're talking about something that far too many business owners suffer from, and that is being beige.
Beige.
Boring.
Like nylon slacks.
Worn by old ladies who have given up.
Internet connection is unstable.
Is that what you just got? I just got that as well. Yeah. Okay, so this podcast might be really annoying but tough because it's deadline time and it's just gonna hi Podfly guys, you're just gonna have to do the best you can. Okay, so that brief break, which you probably didn't notice because I pressed pause, was us turning the video off because our internet is a bag of wank. So there you go. And Joe's just informed me that he'll have to imagine me waggling my eyebrows around, which is fun. So today we're talking about fear and being beige and how we always want everybody to like us all the time.
Which surely is a waste of time, because if everybody likes you, then nobody's going to love you.
Well, even leaving that aside, not everybody is going to like you. It's just the way it is. It's not everybody is going to like you. It's impossible, and this is why, and that's also a really good point, Joe. That if you're so bland that you just don't offend anybody, then nobody's basically going to give a shit. And this is why it's so important to do the avatar exercise. So identifying your ideal customer down to the total finest details. And most people don't bother to do this properly, which is why most marketing is total crap.
Okay.
So if you don't do your avatar exercise properly, you basically risk rendering all of your marketing boring, pointless, and a total waste of time, effort, and money.
So for anybody who has this as their first ever experience of the Vicky Fraser podcast, first of all, I apologise, and secondly, the avatar exercise is where you identify who your customer is and what they're frightened of and what they need and what they're all that, who they are and what they believe and what they feel and how old they are and what sort of education they've had. It's when you properly knuckle down and sort out who it is you're actually trying to sell to.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
best customer.
Yeah, and it's more than, like Joe just said then, like you just said then, it's more than just demographics, kind of, age, location, income, that kind of thing. It's all about psychographics and what people care about. And so, this is one of the reasons that when we do the podcast and when I write my emails, that I talk about stuff that's personal to me and stuff that I care about, and I talk about politics and that kind of thing, because if you can find out, what people's beliefs are, whether they're religious, whether they believe in unicorns, whether they're supporting Trump, that kind of thing. That stuff is really important, because it gives you an idea of what type of person you're dealing with, and the kind of buttons that you're going to need to push to get them to buy from you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, if your customer is if it turns out that your avatar exercise exposes that the people you're talking to are all exclusively crystal faith healers who believe in the Reiki and all of that stuff, then you're not going to base your marketing around facts or reality. You're going to base it around, pixies and, I don't know, legends of
Zorro.
Zorro. Yes. So in order to target your marketing properly, you really got to know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
That's the point of the avatar exercise, is to identify who you're trying to talk to, so that you can target everything properly.
Yeah, and the more work and the more time you put into doing your avatar exercise, the more it will pay off for you. Most people do not bother doing this. Most people, which is why most marketing is crap. Most people will just kind of go, it's so and so, and they're between 30 and 50, and they're vaguely living in the UK, and it's just so wide. And so
I would like to sell to people who have completed their GCSEs and have a credit card.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Jesus, you're wrong. That's a shit avatar exercise.
It is, and it covers so many people that you can't put with so many different motivations and and worries and fears, that you just can't possibly expect to sell to the people that you really want. You're going to be. It's just not possible. If you don't identify your ideal customers, you end up trying to please everyone, and you cannot do that. You cannot please everyone all the time. And if you try, you will exhaust yourself, you'll waste time and money, and you'll probably drive yourself crazy.
And be really beige. Very beige.
Yeah, really beige. And it's really boring. And that kind of brings us back to why people do this, because most businesses do exactly that. They do exactly what we've just described. They try and appeal to everybody all the time, partly because they don't bother doing their avatar exercises properly, but also I think because everyone has a fear of being disliked, and it's only natural, so you don't need to feel bad about this. Most people who are listening will be worried about being disliked. I used to be the same, and now I don't care. That's not entirely true. It's only natural to want to be liked by people. It's human nature, and you do have to have training to not give a shit. I have had that training, and now I'm passing it on to you, dear listener, or I'm passing on the principles. At least, if you want the meaty stuff, you got to pay me. So, what we're going to do today is talk about the Chelsea principle, because that's what you need to work with in mind.
So I've got this kind of feeling, bearing in mind I'm several hundred miles away from Vicky at this point. I've got this feeling that I've heard the Chelsea principle, and I'm kind of vaguely aware of what it is, but I'm going to need it explained, I'm afraid.
That's okay. So this is, I got this from one of my mentors, Peter, because... Hi, Peter, because this is one of his tenets that he kind of lives by. And he calls it the Chelsea principle because it can be shortened to SW3. And for those not in the UK, SW3 is the postcode for Chelsea, which is a posh area of London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Postcode being like a zip code, I guess, if we're talking Americans.
Yeah, like a zip code, postcode, yeah. So anyway, SW3 stands for some will, some won't, so what? Which I just think is awesome. So it's like,
some will, some won't, and so what?
Yeah, some will, some won't, so what? It is a fact of life and business that not everybody is going to like you, and that's okay. Some people will like you, some people won't like you, so what?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's it, basically. We're done. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I'm laughing at myself now. It's dreadful.
No, don't laugh at yourself.
So yeah, some will, some won't. So what? The best people to do business with are those people who like you and who are similar to you. This kind of seems obvious, but the flip side of that is that repelling the people who don't like you and who are not similar to you is also a really good thing to do. And that is not quite so obvious because it involves you having to be a bit brave about everything, which is where you will more than likely fail. Not you, dear listener. So, and I don't mean to be a bitch about this, but I do know what I see, and what I mostly see is business owners talking the talk but not walking the walk, because being brave in this instance will mean offending some people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
So you kind of talking about you and your business, Vix. You are not in the least bit shy about being a little bit bold and clear in your distaste of crystal woo, faith, Reiki, healer, acupuncture, chiists.
Yes.
And if you frighten a few of them off and they don't want to work with you, then that's a win, because you don't have to tell them to go away because they've already decided they hate you.
Exactly. And they probably, most of the decent ones won't, the decent people won't hate me, because they'll just be like, oh, that person is completely on different wavelengths to me, and so I don't, that they just won't even get on
you're vibrating a different color.
Vibrating a different color, yeah. So I won't even get on their radar, and that's fine. And I'm not interested in being on their radar, and vice versa probably. And similarly with rabid socialists, I'm probably going to put those off as well, and good, because those people are never going to have a successful business anyway. But yeah, and then we're back to being brave will mean offending some people, but that's okay, because most people don't deliberately set out to offend somebody, and most of being offended is having an emotional reaction to something somebody said and then expecting that other person to deal with it for you. It's what toddlers do. It is though.
True. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because it's just like, well, you know what? If somebody else's opinion on something can affect you to that extent, you really need to reevaluate, what you care about in your life. It's like, I couldn't care less what somebody who isn't written on a small piece of paper that I keep close to me cares. I've got several names written on a bit of paper, and I've got one for personal and one for business. And if anybody says something to me that kind of, I don't know, let's say that triggers me, I'll look at my piece of paper. And if the name of that person isn't on that piece of paper, I'm like, why do I care what they think? This person is not important to me. This person is not a part of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a big, one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to the listeners today is get yourself a piece of paper, just to put a small piece, post-it note, and write down the names of people that you admire and whose opinions you respect in business. Write them down on that piece of paper. And if anybody says something to upset you, or that's mean or whatever, or gives you an opinion, if their name isn't on that list, just ignore them. They're not, they're not worthy to be on your radar. And you can do the same for personal as well. So if you've got acquaintances that, have upset you or said something mean, and they're not on your list of people that you give a shit about, who cares? Who cares what they think, really, in the end?
So is there some point at which, if you get 10 people who are not on your list, either of your lists, who say the same thing, at some point will you evaluate it, or will you just like, no, you're not on my list?
No, absolutely, for sure. I mean, if you have 10 people all separately tell you the same thing, that something that you've done is really out of order, then if that happened to me, then I would step back and say, well, okay, then obviously something's going on here. And even when I get a comment from somebody that I don't know, or a reply on an email or whatever, I will always pause just for a moment and just look at what I've said or what I've written and think, hang on a minute, have they got a valid point? And then I'll look at all of the positive comments that I tend to get and think, no, they don't. But it does always make me, it does make me pause and take a step back and look at it and just reevaluate it a bit. And if I got lots of people saying the same thing, then yeah, absolutely, I would pay attention to it, because yeah. Yeah. So, you gotta be sensible about this. And ultimately you'll find your own level of, offensiveness, or not offensiveness, but you'll find your own level of being okay with having, there's some stuff that I won't have an opinion on because I simply don't know enough about it to have an opinion. And so I might go away and learn about it, and I might listen to other people who know about it. But there is some stuff that I feel that I know enough about the subject that I absolutely will have an opinion on it. And that's okay. It's and just because you have a difference of opinion to somebody doesn't mean that you're attacking them. And that I think is the root of kind of this offending people, and this some people will like you and some people won't like you, is, well, actually you can have a difference of opinion with somebody without falling out about it,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people can't, actually.
No, I know. And that's something that I have noticed since I've been a bit more participatory in Ben Settle's group. Ben Settle is amazing. Is like Mr. Email Marketer. He knows.
Hi, Ben.
He does not listen to this. But he's got this Facebook group that he's really carefully built into this society. And at first glance, it seems like this crazy place full of people just being utterly bizarre and offensive. But actually, when you get in there, what he's done is built this place where it's there's grown-ups having discussions that vehemently disagree, like completely polarized opinions about issues, about topics, and yet they're having grown-up discussions and talking about it, and they're not throwing their toys out the pram, and they're not blocking people left, right, and centre, and it's really refreshing.
That's quite cool.
It is really cool, and it's just I would. Yeah, I wish there were more places like that on the internet. It's Ben Settle, El Bembo's Lair, and I don't think he will let any new people in because he's built a wall. So anyway, but we kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I think it was a good tangent because it's really, really important for you to get your head around this, because if you try and please everybody, you won't just fail, you won't please anybody, and you will drive yourself crazy, and you'll end up being boring because you'll be censoring yourself so much because you're so afraid of saying something that will upset somebody that you'll just be, you'll be the beige little old man in the high street. Nobody wants that.
It's kind of a confidence thing, isn't it? It's like confidence in yourself to know who you are and what you want, and it's confidence in your customers to be the people that you want to deal with, and it's confidence in not caring about the people who are not your customers.
Yeah, and also I think being
it's quite bold. I think it's quite a thing. It's the thing that people don't necessarily get much practice at outside of the business world. I mean, I don't think at school it's very difficult for people to say, "Well, I don't care about you because you're not one of my people." It doesn't tend to happen, and at work people tend to try and fit in and not be disliked and all that kind of stuff. I think it is quite a new concept. It's quite a new thing for a lot of people to accept, is the idea that it's perfectly fine to not be liked by somebody.
Yeah, it is. And it's difficult, and it is difficult to get your head around, and it's kind of difficult to not be upset by as well. And I totally get that, because I've not always, it's taken me a long time to get to here, hasn't it, Joe? And I still get upset by stuff sometimes. And, above all, I want to be kind to people. I don't want to be nice, because nice gets you nowhere. It genuinely doesn't. It gets you walked all over. It gets you, I've been far too nice to the people on my email list for far too long. I answer too many questions for free, and it just encourages people to take and take and take. And they don't do anything with the information they get either. This is something else that you'll be well to pay attention to. People don't value the free, and they don't value nice. That's not to say that you don't be kind, because I'm always, I never go out of my way to offend people. I don't deliberately set out to upset people. I never have done, and I never will do. And I think people that do that, I don't agree with it. I just think there's no need for it. And some people will fail to find that fine line between, being confident and not giving a shit and being an arrogant asshole. There is a fine line between the two. And I think if people are unkind, I don't think that gets you anywhere either, or it doesn't get you as far.
Yeah, there is a significant difference between being yourself and clear with your communication and being a deliberate arse to frighten people off. there's a huge difference between those two things.
Yeah, and some people can make that being a deliberate arse thing work. If that's who they are, and they can wear that persona with confidence, then that's great. It's not me at all, so I couldn't do it. It's really about daring to be yourself, and that's actually more difficult than it sounds.
Yeah, well, I think it is.
Yeah, because it's like you say, people don't get any practice at this. We all have a mask that we put on, and we all have personas that we live up to, and to be the same person with everybody is really difficult, if not impossible, I would say.
Yes, I think everybody's got a few different faces that they show to the world. You got a family face, you got a business face, you got a friend face.
You have.
There's loads of them.
Yeah,
I certainly do.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be less like that now, and I think the more I go on in business, the more me I am with everybody. Because because the other thing to think about is, if you're fundamentally a decent person and you're fundamentally, like honest and honest with yourself and with others, then if somebody is not willing to accept that and accept you for who you are, then are they really worth worrying about at all? Is kind of a question that you've got to ask yourself, and that goes for whether they're family, whether they're friends, whatever.
Yeah, it's more difficult to accept those difficulties with friends and family, particularly family, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing for some random business associate to kind of think you're a bit of a twat and decide not to do business with you. That could be a bit surprising and painful. But for if you suddenly discover that you actually have huge fundamental differences with your mum. that's kind of a different deal.
Well, I don't know. Again, though, you should still be able to get on if you're both grown-ups. Anyway. So I think my big piece of advice for the listeners today is if you put yourself into your business and your personality, this is what will set you apart from everybody else in your market. Because if you don't, you are just another faceless corporation who doesn't care and who doesn't inspire caring at all. People won't care. Have a look at the way I do things. And this podcast, for example, is you and me bantering, Joe. And people love it. People have joined my inner circle after binge listening to the whole lot.
Those people are crazy. Hello, crazy people.
Those people are awesome. But yeah, it's just I can't get my head around that. But that's what they do. And, look at my branding as a cartoon superhero. Look at when my new website comes out, which is going to be hopefully any day now, you're going to see that I'm not in photographs in a kind of boring suit-like way. You'll see that the photographs are very, very me. And, I talk about my circus shenanigans. I talk about my pole dancing. I talk about how I fall over when I'm out running and what I care about. And, and the reason I do all that is because it builds relationships and it builds loyalty and it makes me stand out.
Well, you're showing your actual real face. You're not showing a persona. You're showing yourself.
Yeah, but again, there's still a line to be drawn there, and I think we should carry this on in next week or the week after. So I can't remember whether I'm interviewing someone next week, but I do kind of want to talk about the line, because there's a line there as well. There's always the danger of TMI, too much information and oversharing, and you don't want to do that either.
That's true.
So there's a fine line to be drawn, and I think we should revisit this topic in the future, because I think there's a lot more to say about it. I mean, this is what I do, the whole, how do you stand out and how do you really be yourself? This is what I do. So it's a good one. Anyway, I have no idea how long we've been going for, because I haven't got...
Normally there's a timer, isn't there? But now there isn't, because we're in separate places.
Yeah, so I think we should probably...
Before we stop.
Yeah, let's stop. So ask yourself, dear listener, is your marketing bland and corporate, or is it full of humanity and warmth and enthusiasm for your hot products and your customers and the things you care about? What is it that makes you special? And can people tell that that's what makes you special, or do they just see beige?
Yes, indeed.
And if you're worried about this, if you think this is something that that you're not sure about, that you don't know how to make yourself stand out, this is what I do. This is the thing that I live for. This is what I love. And you can jump on a call with me for half an hour. You can borrow my brain and we will sort that shit out for you. And if you want to do that, it's you've unfortunately missed the January offer, which was join the inner circle and get a free borrow my brain. So sucks to be you. But you can still borrow my brain at businessforsuperheroes.com/borrow my brain. And I guarantee that the value you get out of it will be worth many, 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 many times the investment that you make.
Excellent.
Right. Thank you very much, Joe. We'll be back this time next week. Have fun. Be good. If you can't be good, don't get caught. Bye.
Bye.
Like what you've just heard? Tell your colleagues, tell your friends, send them to www.businessforsuperheroes.com/podcast.